What up, party peeps? My name is Robert D. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about the GVM 520 LSB versus the Amaran P60. Should you spend twice as much on this guy as you do for this? So both panels are bicolor. What does that mean? It just means that they can change the colors on the panel from a cool color to a warmer color. So if you're trying to match maybe an outdoor scene, or if you're trying to match a warmer color that you have inside, both panels will be able to do that. They also both run on batteries, and they both take the Sony F-style batteries. So not all of the entry-level LED panels have the option to run on AC power, but both of these do, and they both come with it. They also both come with accessories, such as diffusion. The Amaran comes with the softbox, and it comes with an A crate, so you can focus the light a little better. And the GVM comes with a diffusion panel and barn doors. And they also both come with carrying cases. So those are things that these two panels have in common. First of all, it's the price. So when I bought these back in 2020, I bought two of these for $239. They're still that same price on B&H. It comes with, like I said, the panel. It comes with the diffusion, and it comes with, at least mine came with one barn door. So for the price of one of these, you'll get two GVMs. Another difference is going to be the amount of light that these panels puts out. So this Amaran, it actually puts out more light than the GVM, even though the Amaran is smaller. But it's not putting out like 3 or 4 times as much light. It may be putting out 1.5 times, or maybe 2 at the very, very most, twice the amount of light. But that's going to be hard for me to quantify. Another difference is going to be the color range on these. So you see on the Amaran, we have a color temperature right now is set to 5,500 Kelvin. This one will go all the way to 6,500, and it also goes down to 3,200. For the GVM, that's the 3,200 setting, and you can go up to the 5,600 setting. This one doesn't have quite the range as the Amaran does, but that range is more than acceptable for most things that you're going to be doing. So one big difference I like on the Amarans is you can charge the batteries while plugged into AC power. The GVMs, no matter how long you keep the batteries on there, they're not going to charge. I found that out the hard way. And while we're on batteries and power, another cool thing about this one is you can actually see how much battery life you have left. On the back of the GVM, there's no such way to figure out when your light's going to die. This one actually tells you in minutes, up to 2 hours on the back of the panel, how much battery life you have left. And if you go to the app to control it, you'll see that it has like 2 hours and 7 minutes or 2 hours and 30 minutes. Another big feature on the Amaran is it has locking ports. So when you plug in power, it actually locks. You can't accidentally pull it off. On the GVM, it's just a barrel plug, and I've accidentally unplugged it a few times. As well as on the brick, there's a locking cable there for the Amaran as well. Just well-designed battery solution all the way around for the Amaran. Here's another one, but I'm not going to say if it's good or bad either way. You guys decide. The Amaran is smaller. It's lighter, and that's a good thing. It's about 3 pounds, where the GVM was like a little bit over 4 pounds, but it's also physically smaller. And that could be good for a number of reasons, obviously. However, a larger light source creates a softer end product. So because the GVMs have a larger source, it's going to be a softer light. Now, that's not a huge deal because it comes with the softbox, and it's still a pretty bright light even with the softbox. If you're not using a softbox, the GVM is probably going to give you a softer source of light. Another situation that I have to mention, but it's kind of a non-issue for me, just in the way I'm using it, is the Amaran is cooled by a fan, as you see there. So, of course, a fan is going to generate some noise. Where the GVM, I've never heard a noise. It looks like there may be a fan in here, but most of this body is metal, where the Amaran is all plastic. The GVM is all metal. It seems to be the design that this works as a heat sink, so no need for a fan, and it just has passive cooling. So I've had the GVM since 2020. I've been using it on gigs. I've been using it at the house and for different projects that I'm working on. So why did I buy the Amaran? Actually, one of the big reasons is this softbox. Even though the softbox isn't huge, you can see that it does a really decent job of becoming one light source and wrapping around the face and just almost being good enough for a main light. I would use this as a main light in a pinch in a heartbeat for sure. I can't say the same thing about the JVM. It just doesn't give me that same confidence. All right, so now let's get into some objective measurements. So I took my light meter, my old trusty Sakonic light meter, and I did a test. So the way a light meter works, if you haven't used one before, it's really simple. There's a little ball here, and whatever hits that ball, in this instance, if you plug in ISO and shutter speed, it'll tell you what your f-stop should be. So here it's saying that this light, if my shutter speed was 100 and my ISO was 100, then my f-stop should be 2.0. All right. So if it's brighter, if this light gets brighter, so I'll move it closer to the light, you'll see, and it gets to 2.8. All right. So to measure this, I took both lights, I put them both at 3 feet and did 2 measurements, one with the diffusion and one without. For the Amaran with the softbox, we got a 2.5. With no softbox, we got 5.0, right? For the GVM with diffusion, we got 1.6, and with no diffusion, we got 3.2. So the Amaran with the softbox is almost as bright as the GVM without that panel in front of it. So if you can see this little panel here, it knocks out almost half of the light just by putting it in front of there. But what it does is it softens the light and it makes it more of one light source. If you look at a LED panel, you'll see a bunch of little lights on there. If you don't have that diffusion in front of it, sometimes you can kind of get double shadows and weird stuff. So that's what that panel's for. But with it, you lose a bunch of light. Here's another test that I ran. All right, so don't judge me. I bought a mannequin head because my kids, they refuse to model for me anymore. And I wanted to do some videos to show different techniques. And I just haven't gotten around to those yet. But in this case, I'll show you how I used it. So we put the mannequin head in the kitchen where my wife and I were working on this project. And so I wanted to see what's the difference between the GVM and the Amaran in this setting. So here we go. So here's no light. Here's just a kitchen light, just overhead. And then we're going to go with the Amaran 200X at 40%. Here's an Amaran. And now remember, this panel is just for the fill light. And then here's the GVM. So as you can see there, there's very little difference. Sure, the GVM wasn't as bright as the Amaran, which means I can either turn down the brightness of the Amaran a little bit or turn up the brightness of the GVM. It had plenty of latitude on either one of those where I can easily make the adjustment. So in this scenario, it's not a big deal. Either light is going to do what I needed to do. Now we're going to go back to the kitchen and we're going to look at just the fill light. Here is the GVM at 40% with the diffusion. Here it is at 40% with no diffusion. The GVM at 100%. All right. Here's an Amaran at 40%. And you see here, the Amaran is almost as bright as the GVM at 100%. Here's an Amaran at 40% with no softbox. Amaran at 100%. All right, so there's Amaran, no softbox. As you can see there, it's pretty bright. So what I want to do with the last one is just bounce it off the ceiling and see what I can get. So I like using ceiling bounce. Back when I was doing a bunch of wedding photography at the celebration, the party side of the evening, I'm gonna use my flash, bounce the flash off the ceiling, and create a nice soft source. All right, so let's look at one last scene. So we'll just look at both lights side by side, and let's see what we got. So here are both lights at 40%. As you can see, the Amaran is much brighter. And then here we go with both lights at 100%. And again, the Amaran is much lighter. You see there, the softness, it's not a big difference at all. I don't think anyway. So I was playing with it here to see what it would look like in this setting. And in a pinch, I would use this as a main light. Now, you want to get the light relatively close. I wouldn't use it in every situation. It'd have to be a really special situation where I would feel comfortable saying that this is my main light. But the Amaran in the softbox situation, I feel like it could work as a main light. All right, so let's quickly recap the benefits of the GVM. So one, it's cheaper. You're getting two of these lights for $239 versus one of these for $250. It also has no fan, which just means that it's quieter. It is a larger light source. If you pan over just a little bit more, this is my desk that I do work at during the day, and I often use this light. So it's been on not just hours, but probably months at this time, and it still runs solid. I can tell you that it's reliable. All right, another big bonus about the GVM is this yoke mount. So it is designed so much better than the Amaran and their solution. This yoke mount is really, really solid. It's all metal. Once it's in place, I don't have to worry about it maybe slipping a little bit. It is just a really good design. The Amaran, on the other hand, this mount is not, I'm not a fan of. It is not very good at all. I've already had a situation where I couldn't get it tight enough, and I tried to lean it back, and I put it on a stand and just kept coming back, and it's even doing it now. This is not a good mounting solution. The GVM is by far a much, much better mounting solution. Now, Amaran, what do I like about this one? And there's a lot that I like about it. One, you can charge the batteries. Two, there's a bigger range of color temperature. Number three, it's a little bit lighter, so I can have some maybe different rigging options. Having it be a whole pound lighter is a really nice advantage. Another one is brighter. That can matter in certain situations. I think in my situation, the GVM will still be perfectly fine. Another thing that's going to be huge is the ability to control these lights with Sidus Link. So for the last couple of years, I've been building up my Amaran and aperture lighting. So you see I have this bulb here, I have the cube, I have the tube, I have 3 Amarans in this style, and a bunch of other little, that's Amaran and aperture lights here and there. So for me, being able to be in one app and control everything is very, very nice. If I'm on set, I don't want to be in 3 or 4 different apps trying to control things. I would rather have like 1 or 2 apps at the most. It tells you on the back of the panel how much longer your batteries are going to last. That's a really big deal. So obviously it's on the back of the panel, but it's also in the app. So in the app, you'll see here that, let's see if we can get you to focus. So you can also see that from across the room, no matter where you are, you can keep an eye on how much battery life do I have left. That's huge. With the GVM, no confidence. All right. And finally, a big pro for me on the Amaran is the locking power cables. I'm not saying that you're going to buy the light because the power cables have the ability to lock. However, if you're moving the light around or you're on set or you have somebody move something, it's nice to have that confidence knowing that the power cable isn't going to come out accidentally. So what is my final conclusion? I bought the Amarans on sale for $160. They're normally $250, and I had a weak moment. So I shouldn't have been looking, but I was, and I wound up buying the Amarans out of in a weak moment. But all that said, at $250, I would still buy them. I just wouldn't have bought them today. If you are in a situation where, one, the Amarans are still $160 and you're considering it, no brainer, definitely get them. Or if you're in a situation where you already have some aperture lights or some Amaran lights and you're trying to build out your kit, also no brainer, get them. However, if you're just starting out, you want to do a talking head and you want to set it up something like this where you have your main light and you have a side light and maybe a hair light, or maybe you want to have like a light splashing against the wall, there's going to be a better solution for you. I'm going to say that you go with getting 2 of these for $239 or $240. You're going to get a Godox SL60. It's a really good light. You put a softbox in front of it and nobody can tell what light you're using. The Godox SL60s are only $140. You have to know if you're going to go with warm, which is going to be like, think of an incandescent light bulb, or if you're going to go with daylight, which you think of closer to like the sun, or, it's going to be bluer. And then you're going to get a glow softbox. Go on Amazon. It's about $80 or $90. So you're at $470. Now, if you get an Amaran normal price, you're looking at $250 each. So you can get two of these for $500, or you can get a whole setup for $470. Now, I think this is a better long-term investment. If you're set up with YouTube Studio and you're not trying to break the bank, JVM, Godox, Glow, Softbox, you're going to be okay. If you're building out your studio and you already have some aperture stuff, or maybe you're just like, you know what, I do want to spend the money, I want to spend it one time, I want to spend it right, getting these is a really good idea. For one reason alone, speed. If I want to make any adjustments to the light, all I have to do is I can be sitting here and say, I'm going to change my light here to a little lower, right? And I can do this in real time while sitting here. I don't have to get up here, turn it a little bit, sit down again, turn it a little bit, sit down again. I just dial in the light exactly where I want it to, and it's all set up. If I want to set with a client and I already have all my lights set up, if my Amaran is just a little bit too bright, it's really nice to just be able to go in, move a slider, and I can make that adjustment without having to interrupt the client or walk across a scene in order to make that adjustment. If you just want to buy it once, go that route of the Amaran. It's going to future-proof you a little bit better. However, if you are trying to save some money, you have other things to buy, GVM, go that route. You won't regret it. I know that was all over the place, but hopefully that was helpful. If you got some value out of this, please subscribe and like. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section. I'm always there answering questions. And also think about following me on Instagram, RobyMD. You guys take care. God bless.